This is horrifying. So this is my story of how I went 30 days without a phone. And for anyone who's thinking about doing a phone detox or is thinking about disconnecting kind of completely, let my pain be your learning experience, because I don't recommend it. So from last September to January, I was living and studying abroad in Vienna for 5 months. And as you do when you study abroad, we traveled to lots of different countries. And one of those countries was Barcelona. So we were in Barcelona on Halloween night, and I had my wallet and my phone stolen within a 1 hour period. I just remember looking down, seeing my purse swinging open next to me and going, okay. Like, maybe you earned my possessions, because you had to be very good at your craft to get them. It was a whole thing. I had to, file an insurance claim, and they wanted a police report in Barcelona, and then they wanted the serial numbers that I didn't have access to anymore, and basically insurance sent the phone to where I was in Vienna, but then they forgot a form, so customs held the phone and wouldn't give it to me, and they were holding it for a couple weeks actually. Then finally I hassled the phone company into sending another form, and then customs wanted me to pay hundreds of dollars on import taxes, even though it was a refurbished insurance phone. They're like, no, this is like $1,000 phone. Like, clearly you need to pay like $300 to $200 import tax on it. At that point it had been 30 days with a little change. We were like into early December. So I was like, I will pay any amount of money. Give me a phone. So we all joke about being addicted to our phones, but there's an actual psychological concept called phone separation anxiety. And let me tell you, I went through it. And this has been talked about in places like Forbes, Times, Psychology Today, and they all say it's real bad. They found through studies that we do things like exhaustive mental tasks worse when we don't have our phones near us. And also, scary as it sounds, we see our phones as kind of an extension of ourselves. So when we're not with our phones, we experience what's called a lessening of the self. And that's not good. I did still have my laptop with me, and I noticed that I definitely became yoked to my laptop. So I always wanted to find Wi-Fi. I was carrying it with me to class, to coffee shops, to the library, just anything to kind of give me this connection to the outside world that I didn't have access to anymore, that I was pretty cut off from. So I don't think for a full month I ever shut my laptop. And I actually not only experienced that separation anxiety, but it triggered my real anxiety, and I experienced such a major shrinking of my comfort zone to the point where for the first couple weeks I really didn't want to leave my dorm. I was so afraid of getting lost, or not being able to translate, or just not being able to reach out for help if I needed it, that I didn't want to leave alone for a very long time. I also had to write down map directions on a post-it, and not just, here's how you get to the coffee shop. I am so directionally impaired that I had to write step by step the streets to how to get to the coffee shop, and then street by street how to get back. I remember the first time that I actually made it to the cafe and back, even with my little post-it map directions alone, I was so proud, because I had been going through anxiety attacks and things like that at the thought of being stranded in this foreign city with no way to contact help. I also started reading books and magazines on the 45-minute commute to class. The university is a decent way away from all of the international dorms, so I had a good amount of time to kill on a regular basis, and I really got back into reading because I had nothing else to do. Another thing I experienced, which sounds really weird, is that I lost the concept of time. It felt kind of fluid to me, like it didn't really exist. I didn't want to invest the money in a watch when I was, buying plane tickets and all these other things that I was prioritizing above time tracking, essentially. But I realized I used my phone for my alarm, to check the time, to make sure, I'm not late, for everything on my calendar. Oh my god, that was horrible. So like I was saying earlier, I felt really dependent on others. I, didn't have access to directions, to my boarding pass tickets. I also missed music and audiobooks and podcasts so unspeakably much. I am someone who is always listening to something, whether I'm walking or commuting or just basically living and breathing at any point. Another thing was the camera. I am so used to taking pictures on my phone because when I'm traveling, I don't want to lug around my big expensive camera because, hi, I don't want to be another obvious target for robbery, even though I was robbed again in Italy before I even got my phone back. Someone stole my passport. I swear I'm not an idiot. But we were traveling and I didn't have any way to take pictures, so I just lost a lot of those tangible memories that so many people had. And even if I did have friends send me their pictures, you know, it's not always the same things that you would choose to document, and so you are missing out a little bit. So I did gain somewhat of a sense of direction. Now, it's still really bad. If you spun me around in the city, even though I live here, I would still probably not be able to find my way home, but I did learn how to, when I'm paying attention, find my way around streets, and then also, without writing the directions to go back, I can usually retrace my steps now. So, mild improvement. My attention span also improved so much, and it's something that I didn't even realize was happening, that my phone was really fragmenting my focus that much, but it so was. I was so much more able to click in and engage with long-form pieces of content like books and magazines when I didn't know that there was something going on in social media or the news or any kind of random article that I would normally just click into. I didn't have the option of having all of those distractions with me, so I was really just forced to focus on one thing at a time. I was able to read books for just hours on end and it didn't feel like some kind of itching urge to go check on what's new and what's going on. I also learned how to be bored again. And there's a lot of psychological studies and concepts that are being developed about how boredom is actually really essential for creativity. And I definitely found that to be true because I didn't have the option of having any external stimulus to entertain me. So I really had to go inward and my brain had to start generating ideas and thinking of things to entertain me. Otherwise it's just flat emptiness and the void. And the last thing I would say as a pro is that I really also got comfortable with those in-between moments, like when you're waiting in line to order food or waiting for your coffee. I didn't always want to pull out a book for those 1 to 2 minute intervals, so I just got comfortable sitting or standing and just existing. I don't feel like I have to be looking busy, I guess, or be distracted. I can just be. Wow, that's so deep. While this detox was completely against my will and probably will never be repeated again, there are some things that I did learn and still take away from having gone through this. So I actually gained a lot of self-confidence and trust in my own independence because I did get lost repeatedly, but I also found my way home every single time. So that really took away from a lot of power, the fear I had over me, because I was like, okay, sure, and maybe I do screw up, maybe I do get lost, but I trust that I'll be able to figure it out when that happens, and I proved that true again and again. I also realized how bad my phone is for my focus in a way that I just had no concept of before because I had never been separated from my smartphone for that long, since I was, 15? Wow, that's a long time. Okay, anyway. I also realized how much more I depend on my phone for than just for maps and communication. I really do use it as a media hub, you know, as I'm sure we all do, for music and podcasts and books, and not having access to that, there was no upside. That just really sucked. So now that I have had my phone back again for the last 6 or so months, I have definitely slipped back into some old habits that I learned how to get out of during those 30 days and then fell back into. I really can say that I've taken some good things away from this, even though it was not a fun experience when I was living through it. I don't feel like I need to take my phone out for all those in-between moments. I've gotten a lot better at the app cycling we all go through, you know, when you click into Instagram and then your mail and then Twitter and you refresh Safari and you think there's going to be something new, but there actually hardly ever is. Also, the urge to document every little moment has really disappeared, which I didn't realize was so present before. But I don't feel like I can take pictures of every coffee or every time I'm out with friends or doing anything remotely more exciting than sitting in my bed looking at the wall, because I realized people probably don't care that much, and also it's so much more fun to be present in that moment and live in it, as cliche as it sounds, than just to take pictures of it. So that was my experience not having a phone for 30 days, unwillingly. Let me know if you guys relate to any of the things I talked about, or if you've ever done a challenge where you weren't on your phone, or if you were ever robbed and forced not to be on your phone, because I feel you. And that's all for me, so I will catch you guys next time. Bye!